I had a bit of a fisting accident.
I was seeing a client and it was really dark and I reached into my bag thinking I was grabbing lube and started like applying and then realized it was hand sanitizer and the burn I have never felt in my life.
Hi, I'm Jenna Love.
I'm Devine.
I'm Charlie Forde and today we are playing Never Have I Ever Sex Worker Edition.
I've been a sex worker for about 9 years, I think.
I think it's been about 6 years now. I started to pay my way through my second degree and kind of just fell in love with the job and never left, even though I graduated.
I'm Australian porn star, escort and dominatrix. I have been in the sex work industry for 3.5 years, coming on to 4. And I've done pretty much almost everything and anything in the adult industry that you can think of.
All right, let's do this.
First question is, never have I ever run into a client in public? Well, I actually don't know the answer to this one.
I have many times.
Yeah, I have a few times, and I don't really mind because I'm out as a sex worker, so it's not like a big secret or anything. But the client themselves is often a bit embarrassed or something like that. So the general rule is that you just don't make any contact if you see each other in public.
Sometimes it can be awkward, sometimes it's normal. It's a little bit shitty when I'm in my pajamas trying to get a kebab hungover. That's probably not the time to say hello to me, or if I'm with on a date with my partner. But other than that, I'm pretty happy to say hello to somebody if they've popped up, and if they're with their wife or anything, you just kind of do your walk by.
I'm very open and I don't mind when people come up and talk to me, but for most sex workers, they kind of want to be left alone. So good job, boys, if you have seen me.
Never have I ever been asked how much I earn. All the time.
Oh yeah.
I have.
It is pretty much the second question you get asked when you say that you're a sex worker, which is pretty random because I don't ask my barista how much they get paid an hour.
Like everyone who's self-employed, our wage tends to vary so much. Because we're self-employed, we don't have sick benefits or anything. So earlier this year I had to have 2 operations. So for a couple of months I had barely any income. And then COVID hit, and that obviously affected our income pretty badly. And then sometimes in a week I'll make what I would normally earn in 2 months. Like it's really up and down.
My income has changed, like it changes on the daily and it changes every month. There have been times when the economy's kind of crashed and I have been making literally nothing. Like I think my record was 8 weeks with 1 booking. And then other times I'm seeing like 8 people a day. So it's really varied. Yeah, it's a really unstable industry. Why do I choose it? It's lucky I love it.
Never have I ever had or inflicted a sexual injury. Many?
I have. It was like a COVID sex-related injury. I didn't even think that was possible.
I had a bit of a fisting accident.
I'm a dominatrix. So you could say that I have an entire line of career that is based on sexual injuries.
I mean, there's lots of minor ones, but the one that really sticks in my mind was when I was on tour in Darwin, and I had a bit of a fisting accident. And I ended up with a tear inside me, which was bleeding and obviously meant that I couldn't work for a little while. You know, it was painful, not great financially.
And I was seeing a client and it was really dark and I reached into my bag thinking I was grabbing lube and started like applying and then realized it was hand sanitizer and the burn I have never felt in my life. I remember like running, screaming to the bathroom and like trying to douse myself. He didn't feel a thing because I hadn't put anything on him yet. He was like, what the hell's happening? Thank God I didn't get anything inside me because that would have been a whole other kettle of fish, but it was not a fun time. Oh.
I have in a parlor had somebody thrust too hard and rendered me out of work for a couple of hours. Unfortunately, it is a reality that comes with being a sex worker, is that some people just treat you like you're nothing and you do get absolutely pummeled, which is the unfortunate reality. I'm very lucky that I haven't had anything too serious, but I do know workers that have had quite horrendous sex injuries.
Never have I ever fallen in love with a client or had a client fall in love with me. Yeah, definitely.
I have.
I feel like I'm kind of, I have. A few years ago, I had a client who I then turned into a boyfriend.
Like, I often get people just getting really attached to me and saying that they're falling for me, but that they need that distance because they know that nothing can happen. And it's really sad when that happens, because usually they're people that I've seen for a long time and like we get along really well. That's why there's like emotions involved. It's almost like a breakup because you know you're not going to see that person again. So it's really kind of devastating.
One of my partners I met as a client, so obviously that's a big I've dated 3 clients. And in terms of clients falling in love with you, that's kind of just one of those things that happens with the job. It's something that you have to manage, and everyone works out their own way of managing it. But I think it's understandable that it happens because you're being really intimate with people. It makes sense.
I wouldn't recommend it myself, just because in my personal experience, my partner kind of fetishized my work, and I think that because we met in the way that we did kind of very much impacted that.
I would never rule it out, I guess. Like, I've got multiple friends who have met clients, fallen in love, gotten married, had babies, living the domestic life on the side of sex work now as well. So, like, it definitely happens, just not to me yet. I'm a bit of a free spirit. You never know what we'll see in the future. Never have I ever felt empowered by my body as a sex worker. I feel like this is a given and everyone's going to know how I'm going to answer this one. But of course I have. Oh yeah.
I'm not sure about this one. I don't think I would use the word empowered.
Fuck yeah, I have. I grew up being 110 kilos and had the worst self-esteem in the world about my looks, my body, everything like that. Being a sex worker has definitely taught me that no matter what you look like, you'll always be someone's cup of tea.
I don't think that sex work needs to be empowering. Work in general often isn't particularly empowering beyond giving you the power to pay your bills and make it through life. But it's definitely been useful in becoming comfortable with my body and kind of shaking off all of the things I used to really worry about with regards to my appearance.
When people tell me that like they feel really empowered by like my posts, or like I've given them some like strength in some way because I'm so open about my life, that's the stuff that really gives me the mushies. I love that.
There's no point in hating yourself. You're you.
Never have I ever been treated differently because of my job. God. Oh.
Most definitely. In almost every aspect of my life do I get treated differently for being a sex worker.
I'm gonna say I have, but I'm really lucky that it doesn't happen very much to me, but it is something that sex workers face all the time.
Like, everyone has a story. I don't think there's a single sex worker that I've ever spoken to who has not had a problem because of the fact that they're a sex worker. The media always puts this like massive stereotypical insert into our story, I guess.
Whether they think you don't have self-respect, or you're a junkie, or you must have been abused as a child, whatever it may be, they will think of you differently, which in part makes them treat you differently.
You don't see that narrative so much anymore. It's very much like the everyday person, the student, the mum, someone trying to make a few extra bucks on the side.
Never have I ever lied about my job. I'm gonna say I've never.
I have, and I hate it. I absolutely hate that this is the sign I'm holding up.
I have. I don't really so much anymore.
Because I try really, really hard to never lie about my work, because there shouldn't be a reason for me to. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not ashamed of what I do. I love what I do, and I'm really proud of the work I do, to be honest. But unfortunately, the reality is that even though in Australia things are better than they are in other places, sex workers still face a great deal of stigma and discrimination, including financially. So there are times when we have to lie in order to be able to do things.
Always been out, proud, open, my family knows, everything like that.
It's crazy how much judgment is still out there. It's getting much, much better. But I know people who have lost the houses that they've lived in because their real estate agents have found out that they're a sex worker, even if they're not working from home. I know of people who have lost their day jobs because, their day job found out. Like, there's a necessity in lying because there's still so much misconception around it. And it is getting better, but there are certain circumstances where, unfortunately, we still have to lie, and I don't think it should be like that. It's not really fair.
Never have I ever had my job be misunderstood. Oh my God, all the time.
On the daily.
Most definitely has, every day, all the time, everywhere, of course. It's probably one of the most misunderstood jobs in the entire world, but funnily enough, is the oldest.
No one gets it. And even within the industry, it's difficult for us to understand other people's experiences because it's such a big industry. It's very vast. People come to it from different ways. There's different styles of working. There's different ways of working. So we can even find it difficult to kind of empathize with somebody else's experience in the industry, let alone people that have no experience with it at all, trying to understand what it is that we do.
My hope is that everyone kind of like becomes a little bit more free-spirited and a lot more relaxed about other people's lives and goes, you know what, like, you do you, I'll do me. I think we just need to be a lot more supportive of each other, basically. Have a bit more of a discussion about what is sex work, I guess.
The most important thing is for people to know that sex work is work. And that's a slogan that we have been yelling for decades.
Something that you use your mind and your body, just like other jobs. It's rewarding. What someone does with their body and in their bedroom and for their money is none of their concern and anyone else's concern, and it shouldn't be treated any differently than if I was a hairdresser, a barista, a doctor, a lawyer. And some people could argue that I'm a lot of those things rolled into one. It's just like everything else. We're
not dirty, we're not irresponsible. You know, we can be parents and we can be, you know, someone's partner, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't mean that just because we're a sex worker we can't have all of the things that a normal person has.
There is still a huge amount of stigma. And yeah, we're discriminated against financially, legally, and it's about time we sorted that out and got decriminalisation across the whole country and as far across the world as we can.
Sydney actually was the first place in the world to decriminalise sex work 25 years ago, which I'm very impressed and proud of. Go Australia. And I hope that people kind of see these videos and can understand that, you know, we're not an enemy of the country or of the world. We're not like bad people. We're just trying to make a living, and this is the way we choose to do it. Hopefully all the governments start to listen to us and kind of start recognising us as, you know, a valid part of the world and society.